Hey guys, welcome to my channel Miss Recap. Today I'm going to explain the Netflix series The Sandman episode 4. In episode 4, Morpheus and Matthew end up in hell and it lives up to the hype. That's for sure, they can't just waltz right in there, though they have to be invited through the gates. So Morpheus basically knocks on the door and a demon shows up and he tells the guy he is there to see Lucifer. He is the king of dreams. This is not just a quick walk though. This demon really has to escort him through the landscape of hell to Lucifer. On the way, Morpheus tells Matthew that he is known Lucifer for a while. Now, in fact, he knew Lucifer back. When she was an angel, she was actually the most beautiful, wisest, and most powerful of all angels. Lucifer is way more powerful than him. They start walking up this narrow mountain and Dream tells the demon we are going a completely different way. But the demon brought him here for a reason, and that's when he hears a familiar voice say, Dream Lord, it is you. It's a woman named Nada, and she recognizes his dream, but he looks completely different. She starts telling him how she dreamed of this day and how she knew he would come and only his forgiveness can free her, and that's all she wants is to be freed. And he tells her, it's been 10,000 years and I still love you, but I haven't forgiven you. And then he walks away, leaving her there. The demon continues escorting Morpheus and Matthew to Lucifer, and eventually curiosity gets the best of Matthew and he asks, alright, who are that person? And Dream tells them she was the ruler of a tribe that called themselves the first people. We were in love, but she defied me, so I put her here. It's a topic that Morpheus doesn't really want to get into too much. When he finally makes his way inside into the top, there she is, Lucifer, standing in front of him with black angel's wings, wearing all white. He gets right to the point, telling her that his helm was stolen from him and he believes that one of her demons has it. So she says, no problem, which demon is it? But he admits, that's the thing I don't know. So she calls up all the demons and they show up at the bottom of the castle, and there are a ton of them, but he doesn't need to go one by one. Now that he has his sand, the helm will come to him using the power of the sand. All of a sudden, the person with the helm appears, and the person that currently has the helm is someone named Tronzon. He is a Duke of Hell, and he has no interest in giving it up. As he tells Dream, I made a trade, a fair one at that. So it forces Dream to challenge his Corazon, and that means that if Dream wins, he gets the helm back. But if he loses, he will serve its Corazon on slave in hell for eternity. It's not exactly a good deal here, but Dream does not really have a choice. Dream is going to fight for himself, but Corazon chooses Lucifer to represent him. So the two square off, but this is not going to be just a formal fight. They basically say what they are, and then the other person has to one-up them. But they end up feeling real pain from this. So Lucifer starts out and she says, I am a dire wolf. And then Dream responds with, I am a hunter, and the hunter shoots the dire wolf. Lucifer feels it. Her next move is to be a serpent who bites at the horse, and the poison from the snake ends up seen on Morpheus' body. But Morpheus in turn becomes a hawk whose talons rip the snake apart. In response to the bird, Lucifer becomes the butcher bacterium, one that destroys all worm life, and that really cripples Dream. He responds to it by saying, I am a word. Horrible response, because she responds with, I am an all-exploding planet cremating supernova. At this point, Dream is clinging to life and he says, I am universe. To which she calmly responds with, well, then I am anti-life, and Dream's battery is at about 1%. He is not in a good spot. Matthew, who doesn't want to be stuck in hell for the rest of his life, starts imploring Dream to respond with something. After all, dreams don't die. And this little pep talk ends up working because Dream gives the final death knell, responding with I am hope. And that's nothing that Lucifer just can't beat. She ends up forcing Corazon to give the helm back, and Corazon ends up getting killed. But embarrassing Lucifer the way that he just did in her own home, that doesn't really sit well with Lucifer. She gives back the helm and she starts threatening not to let him leave because after all he doesn't have any power there. And he says, I have plenty of power. I am Dreams. I mean, what power would hell have if those here in prison couldn't dream of heaven? It's a really good point. Lucifer doesn't really have a response, but she does tell Morpheus before he leaves, one day we will destroy you. But as he points out, not today Saturn. He then exits hell with the helm, and thanks to the helm, he is able to locate the ruby using the sand hem, and Matthew finds it pretty quickly. But as soon as he picks it up, he realizes that it's been tinkered by somebody, and all of a sudden the ruby blasts him back and knocks him out. Now he is obviously not the only one going after this thing. So is John, and after giving him his coat, Corinthian just left. So John is all by himself in Buffalo, New York, and he looks kind of lost. This woman named Rosemary almost hits him with her car, and she gets out to check on him, and she starts asking him if he needs a ride anywhere. Even though John looks completely lost, says that he doesn't really have a home, and he is wearing pajamas and slippers. She lets him in her car because apparently she really wants to be the subject of a new Netflix docu-series. He asks her to drive him to a place called Mayhew. That's where he has the ruby. So he hops in the car, and it's just Rosemary and her dog and John chilling in the backseat. They start passing the time by talking about life, and he mentions how his mother just died, and he is not really broken up about it because she was not a good person. Rosemary can commiserate because her mother is not a great person either. But slowly John turns into a pretty chatty Cathy and reveals to Rosemary that he killed people. But he starts trying to plead his case to Rosemary that it all had to do with his ruby, and when people tried to take it from him, he just had to act accordingly. But the revelation that she's got a murderer in her backseat makes Rosemary very uncomfortable. She realizes she needs to do something about it. At one point, she tries to grab her phone and covertly call 911, but that doesn't work. So she stops off at a gas station, claiming that she needs to fill up. But she makes the mistake of asking John if he wants anything from outside, and he says, "Yeah, I have been in a psychiatric hospital for 30 years. I want something other than what they have been giving me." So he goes into the store with Rosemary. She tells them, "Grab anything you like." But when she goes up to the counter and she tells the clerk, "Call 911 for me. This guy an escaped mental patient who has murdered people." John overhears the conversation. He doesn't react the violence, just telling Rosemary, "We gotta go." But when the clerk pulls a gun on him, he ends up using the amulet of protection, which results in the clerk dying. At this point, she is terrified. She asks him, "Are you gonna hurt me?" And he says, "Well, not. If you are taking me to my ruby, then I have no reason to hurt you." A little while later, they show up at the storage locker where the ruby is located, and instead of getting the hell out of there, Rosemary ends up staying. John casually walks inside, picks up the ruby, and walks out. He doesn't even notice that Dream or Matthew are sitting right there. He's pretty surprised when he walks outside though, and Rosemary's car is still sitting in the rain. She tells him, "I know I'm gonna regret this, but do you need a ride somewhere?" And he kind of chuckles and says, "You really want me to get back in that truck?" And she just tells him, "I want to go home." He starts telling her how she is a good person, but unfortunately good people seldom survive in this world, and she thinks that John's gonna harm her, but instead he does the exact opposite. He takes off the amulet of protection and he gives it to her, telling her to wear it, because from now on, no one will be able to hurt her. He then takes off with plan on using the ruby to quote save the world. The episode ends here. Thanks for watching. If you like it, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel.